Yep, hello everybody. So I decided that I probably should do a regular topic on the markets, and those who know me from my personal life or have checked my LinkedIn or something like that know that my major is energy technology and I work in the sector somewhat. So I just wanted to cover the current European energy crisis in a short video. So the root of the problem really is that the whole world, as a civilization, we are almost entirely dependent on fossil fuels. About 84 to 85% of the global energy consumption still depends entirely on fossil fuels, uh, coal, oil, or gas, and the distributions is probably one third each. Well, the crisis in Western Europe concerns mainly of reliance on Russian gas, um, and that's a result of a policy that now has failed. It has roots in Germany in the 1990s after the reunification, where the government decided, or successive governments decided to reduce reliance on nuclear and go for a policy called Energiewende, which translates to energy transition towards green and renewable energies. A good thought per se, but it practically, as they developed the policy, made Germany reliant on imported fossil fuels rather than actually replacing fossil fuels and nuclear energy with enough capacity of green energy. It's a result of multiple factors. You cannot really blame anybody, but it is what it is, really. So, by far, the largest fossil fuel consumption is driven per capita by the United States, Australia, Western Europe, followed by China, and Russia is trailing behind. So the recent political developments, I won't take any political position. Like, I'm not a really political person. I rarely even vote. When I was younger, I used to be a little bit more political, but well, my opinions change over time. I would rather treat systemic issues at the root cause rather than just banter on about daily topics. I don't know. Everybody has their own style, I guess. So the politics is not really the main reason. The war is not really the main reason. I would say that the reason why we are in a crisis is a result of multiple factors, mainly over reliance on imported fossil fuels. So at the moment, European governments are trying to scramble for cheaper imports. It has resulted in deputinization of Russian gas, which is coming through countries such as Saudi Arabia and China at a growing rate. Basically, we are buying refined products from Russia through third parties at a higher price, and in total, the volume won't be enough to replace the gas that is currently shut down. Other nations are unwilling to support the West or Western Europe due to our overconsumption, plus post-colonial trauma, plus, well, market realities. Everybody and everybody wants to profit as much as possible from exporting gas to Europe. So in the upcoming winter, we'll probably see some rationing. They are talking about price controls in the European Union, which inevitably leads to rationing. In the common energy market, everybody else supports Germany energy-wise concerning both electricity and fuels. And well, that's the single biggest market that is currently short on energy. The rationing ahead, it will inevitably continue until new capacity is online, and that'll take a while. We are being forced to go towards renewables and nuclear for baseload, and solar and wind major drivers for the renewable side. Other sources of renewables, geothermal, wave energy, hydropower, they will be maybe supplementary, but solar and wind, I'd say, are the source of majority of the capacity. In the nuclear sector, there's some positive development about modular, small modular reactors, which are entering the market as they pass through the regulator. Maybe space technology will accelerate the trend as the global space race forces each space-faring nation to develop microreactors. But really the basis for reducing consumer dependence on expensive energy sources will be home solar and shared windmills for the time being, for at least a decade, maybe two onwards, I would say. And the best possible way to make your life easier energy-wise in the future is investing in solar capacity as much as possible. So we'll probably see microgrids, we'll probably see housing estates building shared solar capacity. We'll probably see solar panels in almost every residential building and detached homes, commercial estates. Batteries will be a thing. Electric cars will depend on shared chargers. So if anybody out there is developing an app for sharing your own charger for electric cars at home or at your estate, shopping mall, whatever, those app developers probably have a solid business case. There are some of those services already, but the sector is still taking baby steps, so there's plenty of room. Hydrogen will probably be the basis of energy storage. Hydrogen is basically the gas that is going to replace natural gas. Well, that has been outlined already in the policy, so different forms of hydrogen. Hydrogen, the gas itself, possibly ammonia. Ammonia is an energy-dense, by volume and by weight alternative, a non-carbon alternative to energy storage, somewhat stable, highly toxic, but if handled correctly, mostly safe. So stationary applications, shipping, marine shipping possibly will use ammonia, and e-fuels for long-haul flights, flights that require a lot of power, maybe supersonic flight, are going to use e-fuels, and battery electric for short haul. Solid state batteries are going to be huge. So are there any other factors that are going to affect us? Well, we are talking about peak oil we have been since the 1970s, but I would say that the easier sources of drilling have been depleted, and really, in theory, if we would like to invest heavily into fossil fuels, there would be the Arctic, Russia, mainly Western Siberia, Latin America, West Central Africa, probably some areas in the Red Sea region that would be viable for development, but otherwise it would have to rely on fracking. Saudi Arabia has been a major oil producer for decades. They might be running out of oil soon. There's no certain information on that. They don't publish exact data. So even if they had plenty of oil reserves, eventually the cheaper sources in the larger oil fields would probably deplete at some point. But does it matter? The subject of climate change is an existential matter. Is it good for an area in the world like Europe to depend on outside sources of energy? Considering that wars in Ukraine, Syria, Libya, Iraq, all were oil and gas wars, basically, or Ukraine is. There's probably going to be a lot of friction between political blocs before it gets better. The macroeconomic side says that it would be a transition period of 10 to 30 years, maybe 20 years. Afterwards, we could see steady growth with hydrogen, and technology-wise, we would probably invest in deep sea exploration and space technology, building colonies on the moon, on the orbit. There's a lot of talk in the European Space Agency about space-based solar. Let's see what the future holds, but all in all, I would say that the global energy situation is going to be solved through renewables in the short and medium term. And if your own region is not dependent on energy sources from outside of your own area, you'll be probably going to be fine. You'll avoid a lot of problems, including conflicts, internal and external. And if you have access to solar, wind, other renewable sources, you'll be better off than without. And if your community has cohesion, that'll help. Well, let's see where it all leads to. Have a nice day.